Welcome to the NAMI Connect podcast, hosted by Royce Jones and myself, Michael Lindauer. We advocate, educate, support, and tell real-life experiences surrounding mental health and illness. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of NAMI Connect. We are so happy to be back, of course. I know we just finished up our little series, Royce, about youth challenges. We have part 1 and part 2, so definitely go check those out. We're actually going to be here with a group of students today from Michigan State University. Psych Sign, if I'm saying that correctly, the group you're part of that. They'll talk about that later, of course. But we're going to talk about how their involvement with NAMI Lansing, with our Mental Illness Awareness Week, and with their careers that they're going into as well. So with that, Royce, before we get to them, of course, before we get started talking about all that good stuff, how are you doing today?
You know what? Man, it's Halloween, so I'm feeling pretty spooky.
Pretty spooky,
yeah. But
all
I'm
right.
Good, though.
That's good. That's good.
I was in Grand Rapids earlier doing a shoot and doing some content, creating some content, and on my way back, it was raining, but it was like snowing at the same time.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Michigan is in full effect right now.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, let me just be careful on my way back. So I got to get back to this podcast thing that we're doing. So, but other than that, it was, pretty spot on good.
Good.
No complaints. No complaints. What about you?
So far, so good, of course.
So hold on. We got to tell everybody about your outfit because they can't see it.
They can't see it. You know,
so we got to tell them about
We
the
will
outfit.
definitely take a picture and post it, of course, so everyone knows what we're talking about. I have a Ted onesie on. So Ted, the teddy bear from the movies Ted and Ted 2. I have a onesie on for that, and I am absolutely sweating right now.
And he said onesie. Yes, he did.
I did say onesie, yes.
I'm not
It's
talking
not
about a
the
baby
only one I have. An adult onesie. So, yes, I am dressed up as Ted in the spirit of Halloween, of course. It's my day off, so I figured I'd drive all around Lansing and do my errands and whatnot in a Ted onesie. So,
you drove around
I
like
actually
that?
drove around and did errands.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So
that's pretty daring. That's pretty spooky.
So spooky.
That's pretty
Big
spooky.
giant teddy
But
bear.
that's cool though.
But yeah, no. With that, I'm doing great overall. No complaints. It's nice that the stresses, I don't know if you can really call them stresses, the positive stresses from Mental Illness Awareness Week are kind of over now. We're kind of just recapping as an organization, or NAMI Lansing is, recapping what we all went through and how we're going to make it better and even greater for next year. So
yeah, there's always those takeaways when you have an event like this and a week-long worth of events. There's always takeaways and, just different ways to get better. So we're excited about next year now.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Got to look forward to next year. Take a month or two off and then start diving right back into it, of course. But like we mentioned at the top of the podcast, we got a couple students here. Royce from Psych Sign on Michigan State University's campus. We have Maryssa, we have Vic, and we have Gabby or Gabrielle. Which one do you want?
Either or. But
Either
we can,
or.
Yeah.
Perfect. So
Gabby it is.
Gabby it is. There we
Gabby
go.
it is.
Gabby,
Boom.
Marissa, and Vic
Let's
here.
go.
Let's do it.
So you guys are from Psych Sign, is that correct?
That's correct.
Tell me, what is Psych Sign? What does it mean?
So we are from the Michigan State University College of Human Medicine. So the three of us are med students, and we actually started a psychiatry student interest group at our school. So the purpose of our group is not only for students that are interested in pursuing psychiatry, but we welcome students from every field of medicine, because as we know, psychiatry peeks its way into every field of medicine, into every patient and caregiver's life. So we host a lot of events that are meant for all of med students, and really just want to promote positivity surrounding mental illness and finding some cures.
Awesome. So how did you get involved with that?
Well, actually, Gabby and I, we kind of both had this passion, and we both have, family experience with mental illness, and have always just been really interested in how the brain works. And we wanted to have something at our school where we could give students the opportunity to connect with the community, connect with research behind mental illness, connect with advocacy, and just have a place where students can come and feel comfortable talking to us.
Awesome.
And I got involved. I got really lucky because Maryssa and I are in the same small group in class, and she kind of knew I was interested in child psych. And there aren't a ton of medical students who are interested in psychiatry, so we kind of formed that bond right away. And she came to me saying that she had this idea of starting the org, and I just kind of got lucky, and I've just been helping as much as I can along the way.
I forced him to join us.
Oh, okay.
And I'm trying to bring...
I kind of sense that.
So I did study psychology in undergrad, and then I worked in Ann Arbor in the child psych unit. So I'm trying to bring some of those experiences to the table and trying to help put on events.
Yeah, you have been. You've been like an integral part to it, though, setting up different events. We have the one Narcan event that he... The naloxone training event we just had a couple weeks ago. So what's really good about the organization, because it was so new and the way Maryssa set it up, we kind of have it so anyone can join at any time, and you can kind of put whatever you want into it. So we have the opportunity for students who aren't even interested in psychiatry per se as their career choice, but any doctor is going to work with psychiatry at some point to some extent. So we had a lot of students who were interested, which was really exciting. And everyone can kind of pick a project that they're passionate about, and Maryssa gives them the flexibility to kind of go with it and plan the whole event. So I did the naloxone training event, which was kind of raising awareness for opioid abuse. And
that's really
so that was
right now.
Yeah, so that was a few weeks ago. So we kind of try to do a big event every month or so like that, and there's a lot of opportunities for students at MSU for things like that.
Okay, great.
Definitely. I think, just since we started last year, we're reaching our 1 year mark as an organization. We see that students kind of look at us and are really excited to attend our events. And I feel like we're really breaking the stigma because, mental illness is not just in our patients, but also really prevalent in medical students and physicians as well, who feel maybe uncomfortable talking about it. So we really try to have a safe space. We just started kind of like a tea time support group-esque type deal, and just a place where students can come, and we're trying to just change, this negative stigma that exists about mental illness and showing how prevalent it is, and that we're all here to help each other out as medical students, as providers, as community members, friends, all of the above.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, and all of us are affected by mental health or mental illness. Every single person. So we're not exempt from that. And especially, like you said, as a medical student, you have the pressures of school and life all bunched together. Exactly. So how do you deal with that?
That's a great question.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gabby, answer that for us.
I think a huge part of it is just really knowing where to find your support, knowing who to turn to when, things get tough, and then knowing that there are a bunch of people that can help you through. They've been in your shoes before, or they're struggling through it together, and everyone has different tips and tricks, and that's actually why Psych Sign has been a really important part of this sense of feeling grounded here, because it's a good access point to having not only the support amongst our students, but also being able to reach support in the community, especially with NAMI. It's a perfect example.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
So I feel like med school is stressful, like you said, but there's a lot of little things you can kind of do along the way. I've been doing a lot more calling back home and talking to family and staying in touch with old friends and not losing connections like that. Getting into headspace and meditation to kind of, if things are getting overwhelming, just kind of take a break. And
what type of meditation are you talking about here?
I do a lot of so before I go to bed, just kind of winding down meditation and kind of getting your mind to kind of focus and rest, because my mind's kind of always all over the place, scatterbrained. So things like that to kind of teach me to kind of hone in.
Mindfulness.
Mental energy. Yeah, mindfulness, exactly. Yeah. So things like that, and just kind of talking to each other every day, and just knowing that we're all kind of going through similar things really helps.
Yeah, it can be really, hard. Majority of people at our school are not in their home city, so a lot of people are away from their family, and life keeps going on whether you're there or not. So people have family things and friend things, and it's really easy to get kind of distance from that. So we really help keep each other grounded, encourage each other to stay, like Vic said, stay connected with our families and friends and support groups, and then know that we also have a family and support group here in East Lansing, which is really incredible.
And what's nice is I think MSU College of Human Medicine does a good job reminding us every couple months. They'll put on an event where it's kind of reminding us to take care of ourselves. Exercising, eating right, meditating. A lot of these apps, our school actually gives us either deals on, or we get free access to things like Headspace, because they are, they know it's a long journey. Med school is a long journey.
Yeah, I was going to say, how long is that?
And they kind of want to take care of us along the way, make sure we're taking care of ourselves too. Yeah. So it's nice to have a school that's supportive of those things as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So, and you mentioned like this is going to be a long journey. And so having to do something like that with this core group of people that you have here, I mean, you can establish some bonds, some things like that. So how has it been as far as your interaction with each other? Has there been any head bumping or anything like that, or what?
I think we have a great environment. I think at school, everyone is very kind of communal, and it's kind of a close-knit little community. It's also how, again, our school is set up specifically. They kind of divide us into different learning societies, 4 different groups, if you will. And it's just you stick around with those groups more often. You go to certain classes together, anatomy lab together, and so you get really close.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it. You stay with the same people, and then everyone's there to like help each other out. Yeah.
Pass-fail helps too. Pass-fail is a great grading system, because we're not competing against each other. It's kind of just all collaborative. There's no reason to compete against each other. There's no ranking, so we're all trying to help each other succeed. Yeah. Which is nice, and a lot of med schools are switching over to.
Exactly.
So explain that.
So it used to be very traditional medical school that you had a rank in your class, and it was a public rank list. So, and when you apply for residencies, which is our ultimate goal, is to be a doctor, that your rank spot would be part of your application, and it really just made a number define you. So now we see, and with burnout being such an issue and competitiveness, and the fact that the field of medicine and really a lot of fields are moving towards interdisciplinary and teamwork. So we were training students to be very independent and not work as a team, and do what they have to do to get the rank they need. And then they realized, they go into the healthcare field and they have to work with physicians of every different department and work on teams for the best patient care.
And ask for help and be able to,
right, and have
realize when you need it.
Exactly. So, they said, why not start that kind of communal environment in medical school, which has been really great. So there's no, like Vic said, there's no benefit of you being, because there is no rank. So
there is no number one.
Right. We're all number one.
And honestly, those are like life skills that you need.
Absolutely.
I mean, and what you just mentioned, when you get out into the professional field, you're working with all kind of different people from every different kind of, medical specialty. And so if I need something from you, I need to be able to communicate that to you in a sense that you don't feel like I'm being confrontational or anything like that. And if you don't get those skills now, how are you going to be able to use it later?
Absolutely.
And it's nice to see schools taking care of their students, because physician burnout is a problem that people have known has existed forever.
Yeah.
But just as the stigma with mental health is kind of decreasing, and people are kind of starting to talk more, it's the same kind of things are happening in the medical community. There's more medical students and residents writing in these journals, sharing their stories of burnout, and kind of like the same thing we see happening in the mental health community. Mental health aspects in medicine are kind of taking off, which is nice to see, because people are talking now, which as soon as people get talking, we can kind of get to solutions and tinker with the system, which is nice.
People don't like to talk about it, but the suicide rate of physicians is almost double that of the population's average.
There's a lot of pressure.
And for so long, people just didn't want to talk about it, and we needed to figure out why, and how do we fix that, and how it was very, shunned upon to have a physician come out and talk about their struggles, because it was under this, false notion that you have to be perfect in order to take care of patients. But really, you just need to be human and give your patients something to relate to. Patients just want someone to care. And being able to talk about that is the first part in healing.
Awesome. I'm glad you said that. So, with that, you guys are now involved with NAMI. You came to our Healing Through the Art event. So tell me how that came about, and what's your take on NAMI?
So we actually, the first time we met NAMI was last year at the Healing Through Art event.
Yeah.
And it was Maryssa and I, and it was our first experience, and it was really cool. I don't know if you guys have probably talked about this on the podcast before, but the event is where you have a bunch of artists who are or have experienced their own personal struggles with mental illness, and they've created works of art that are now displayed at this event, and you got to walk around and meet the artists and kind of mingle and just learn different stories, and it was just a big community event that was wonderful. So we went last year, we went again this year, and I thought it was great at both times. It's an awesome environment, and you really get to meet the community. I think that was my favorite aspect, at least.
Yeah. Once we got there, we were like, we want to be involved with this group. So this happened that we just went, we were just in the planning phases, deciding that we want to start some sort of group at MSU. We met you, Michael, and Kevin and Margaret and the rest of the board, and we were like, how do we get involved? We want medical students to know about you, to help out, and how do we make this connection? And they were just like, we don't know what your group is because it doesn't exist yet, but let's do it. Let's all get together because it was very abstract then, but we were like, this just sounds good. This sounds like something that needs to happen, and our relationship has just continued to blossom. It's crazy that was already a year ago that we first met you.
Right. So what got you guys, because I do remember meeting you, Maryssa and Gabby, at the event. You guys walking in, it was like, whoa, what is all this? Like, how can we get involved, etc. I remember we talked for like an hour or something at the event about it. What drew you to the event? Like, as two college students, and I know you guys are in the medical profession in a sense and going for your degrees, but what drew you to get off of campus into the community, into this event specifically? Because from NAMI's standpoint, we didn't advertise it as a mental health / illness event. We just said healing through the art. It's about artists expressing themselves. So it wasn't necessarily specifically towards mental illness, but what kind of drew you to it, if you guys can recall that?
So I do remember we had just reached out to a child and adolescent psychiatrist that is a faculty at MSU to be our advisor to help us create this org. And she forwarded on, somehow she got, I think she's on the NAMI email list, and she forwarded on and said, you guys should check this out. Like, maybe you would like it. And we were like, art, creativity, National Alliance in Mental Illness. This sounds like something we're interested in. It's, like you mentioned on the advertisement, doesn't exactly explain what it is. But it was interesting enough that, and healing through art just had a good connotation to it. And we knew it had something to do with mental illness, and we knew this is what we're passionate about and something we wanted to see. We had just moved to the Lansing area at that time too, so we wanted to really see what's out there, what's in the community. And we were completely pleasantly surprised with what a beautiful event it really is.
Awesome.
It made us stick around. So.
That's why you're here right now.
We're here, right? So moving into 2019, because I was in 2018 when you guys first got introduced to NAMI and everything, and the event, of course. Coming to 2019 and Healing Through Art and the Mental Illness Awareness Week, what made your decision, or what were you guys thinking about getting involved this year, and what did you guys want to impact from your guys' standpoint, and what impact did it make on you?
I think, so as someone who wants to practice psychiatry in the future, I think one of the most important things you can do is to get involved locally and figure out what resources are in your community. And if I was going to be a student here in Lansing, and this community is giving me so many opportunities, I kind of wanted to see what opportunities the community gives for its own residents.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of attracted to the event to see what kind of resources and opportunities are available for people in the community to get involved. And Gabby, you want to speak more to what got you specifically?
Yeah. Honestly, since last year, I was just kind of excited to see what you guys had in store. I know you guys have been planning and working on a lot of stuff. We also were working closely with you guys to set up some stuff on campus too. I think this year we were really trying to focus on kind of bringing the two different audiences that we both have together,
Mm-hmm.
being the campus and then the community.
Yeah.
Sometimes they often, I feel like, can all like work within their own realms, but
Independently.
but this was kind of a nice opportunity to say, let's advertise these events and let our students know about what's going on in the community.
Yeah.
So everyone can become more aware really of everything that there is to offer.
I agree. It's almost cliche to say, but obviously medicine doesn't stop within, the four white walls of a hospital room. Medicine is where your community lives. And it's so easy to just get in your car in the morning, show up to the hospital, take care of your patients and leave, but not knowing where they live, what they're experiencing. So I think it's really important that medical students, physicians, really any professional in the community show their face in the community and show, that they are, or I should say we are, we want to know what it's like in the community. We want to meet who's in the community. We want to go to the community, see what resources there are, see that we're there because we care and we want to meet these people. We want to hear their stories. And I think it's just really important that we show face there and continue to have physicians alike at these events and just continue to break the stigma. I think everyone should be at these events and, putting themselves into their own community that they're serving.
Man, you just said something interesting is that, medicine isn't just for, just patients in the sense of, to treat their illness, but medicine comes in different forms. And the healing through art is another way for a person to have medicine, to get medicine that they need. And that's one of the things that draws me toward NAMI and toward organizations like yourself is because it's medicine. Like we're providing medicine to people. Like you're providing medicine to each other in a sense.
Free medicine.
Free medicine. You know what I'm saying?
Don't
No
be
side
careful.
effects.
Exactly.
No side
kind of
effects.
medicine.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's the best kind.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So moving forward, what would be some of the things that you guys would like to do as far as collaboration with NAMI or, maybe some independent things, and how can we partner up together to create, the synergy and this movement, again, to remove the stigma and to advocate and to just raise the awareness about mental health and mental illness in our community here in Lansing and in Michigan State University?
I know one thing that has kind of already happened is that Margaret, one of the board members, sat down with some of our board members and talked to them about what support groups are, because we wanted to have something like that on campus for medical students. Now that can be a little bit tricky in running a support group with liability and things like that, having not been fully trained. So that's why we call our not support group, we call it Tea Time with Psych Sign, because that just has the best ring to it.
I like it. I like it.
And so it's something that we do twice a month now on campus, and it is a no faculty, no liability, no writing, anything, and it's just any student is invited, and there is really tea, so that's a benefit. So we mainly have first and second year students on this campus, so a lot of first years attended, and it's just a casual supporting conversation. It's not a formal support group. It's not my name is and I suffer from, it's not one of those. It's just let's talk, let's be here to support each other. And that's something we really learned from NAMI, is that being in a group, talking about things and realizing you're not alone. Like you mentioned, everyone, if not personally affected by mental illness, knows someone, and probably knows someone close to them living with mental illness. And we see through support groups like you host, which are more formalized, and so there's a leader who's trained. We wanted to just do something similar at our campus, and it's gotten really good response. And I know a lot of people, it's just an hour twice a month. Come have tea. Come talk about the stresses of med school.
Tea next month, Royce, you.
I'm down for tea time with Psych Sign.
Do you guys have tea at your support groups?
No, we don't.
What kind of tea we got?
What time?
So it's it's just a casual, really conversation and getting students together just to talk. There's no agenda. There's nothing recorded. It's just, hey, how are you? Take a minute to sit down. Talk to people maybe you haven't talked to before. And, especially, I know after, when we're in second year, we all know each other. We're all, comfortable with each other. But a lot of first years can feel kind of isolated, just starting out and really confused. So, and it's nice that we get the different classes to interact as well, too. It's really created a positive vibe for our classes.
Yeah, and something I'm looking forward to. So, as someone who has specific interest in child psychiatry, I was really excited to see that NAMI had an event that was kind of specifically tackling child and adolescent psych. And I think just to kind of further that, it'd be great to kind of do events during school, like kind of almost mandatory, almost for students to get kind of training. We've been putting on mental health training for our med students at CHM. And I think if you can even kind of train some students in high school in some things to look out for, signs in their own peers, or things they can start doing now to take care of their mental health. I think it'd be great to kind of, I know it's tricky to do, to partner with some schools and find out kind of locally what kind of resources students already have, what kind of education they have, and where you could kind of bolster it a little bit. That'd be exciting for me.
All right. So I know each one of you guys have your own specialty as far as what you like. So as far as psychiatry, what brought each of you to this field of study? Why did you choose psychiatry of all things? You could have chose social work or to be an actual doctor and be a physician, but why
we
psychiatry?
are going to be physicians.
Well, different time.
They are real doctors.
Different time. No, you guys are real doctors. But why psychiatry?
So a big part of medicine, that what attracted me to medicine was always the idea of being able to be an advocate for my patients. So I think that kind of thinking naturally got me interested in psychiatry as a field where people are kind of more stigmatized and it's harder to get equal access to resources and have equal opportunity because mental health often isn't treated as a physical ailment. So I kind of saw this injustice, and I kind of like I said, I studied psychology in undergrad, so I kind of always had this interest in psychology, and it just seemed like a perfect opportunity to kind of put my skills to the test and kind of do something that's kind of on the up and up, because it is exciting to see that mental health awareness is on.
It's on the up and up.
Yeah, it is on the up and up, and it's exciting to be a part of something that is so revolutionarily changing year to year, and that's kind of what got me interested, I guess.
Okay, cool.
Really well said.
I think for me, I also majored in psychology in undergrad. For me, it just was always the fascination with I'm just a people person. Just a fascination with people.
Yeah.
That's what it is, yeah.
I got it. Yeah,
and really just like wanting to get to know people like deeper and better. We're more than just what job we have or what role we take on. There's always just like this deeper layer that if sometimes you just try a little harder, you can peel away some more of that and you can get to this person who has very similar like motivations and emotions and needs that we all have, but we don't talk about it that often, especially not as often when you're just thinking purely medicine realm. But then you start talking about psychiatry and it's kind of all about that. It's let's get down to these details about like why you feel that way and how is this affecting your life and things that we can change. It's that free medicine again, right?
Yeah.
And it's just really perspective and just sharing your story, and that can go so far. So That's what I like about it.
Yeah, I wanted to echo that. I also just love working with people and talking to people. And the thing with going into something like psychiatry is you are going to get to talk to and deal with all sorts of people, because mental health affects every race, every class, anyone. Yeah. So that was also kind of an exciting thing to me, because I knew I was going to be able to interact with diverse population base every day, because mental health impacts everyone, all ages, all races, all classes. Yep.
Awesome. It's like that thing, like, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as with mental illness, when you think about it like that, like you said, we're helping people, not just their mental illness,
right,
but the individual person. And once you get to the root of that and start asking these questions, because at glance you see a person in front of you, you don't know the things that they've been through. You don't know the trauma, you don't know their behaviors, you don't know their culture, you don't know any of that. So with asking the right questions, you get to see them on a different level. And that's what essentially it does.
Exactly.
Right? And what about you?
All of the above. Start. You didn't leave me much, but I've always really been very interested. Mental illness is something that's touched my family, unfortunately, in quite extensive ways. And I've always just been really interested by it and really frustrated by the lack of resources, the stigma that surrounds mental illness, which is improving now. And, like Vic mentioned, mental illness is not valued as a physical illness. It's just something extra, right?
Yeah.
Which shouldn't be that way at all. So I've really just been drawn to anything where I can advocate for someone who can't advocate for themselves, because mental illness can be very isolating, and sometimes you really just need that person who's willing to take the time, get to know you and appreciate you. And so often we see when we're on wards in the hospital is we talk about non-compliance with medications, or alcohol use or drug use, or all of these things that we so easily stigmatize and label patients, but don't actually take the time to ask why do you want to leave against medical advice? Why aren't you getting your resources? What can we do? And mental illness underlies a lot of that, and to know there's a field that's just dedicated to finding those answers and giving people hope and help is just something I could really see myself doing for quite a long time.
Awesome.
Until I retire.
And then you'll still be doing it.
And then I'll still be doing it. Then I'll come back and serve for NAMI more.
Right.
Yes. So, I can hear the passion in each of you guys' voices, on your reasons for why you chose psychiatry. And I can definitely applaud you guys and say thank you in advance to future doctors that are going to help this world. It's a hurting world right now. And you see it every day on the news. Someone is taking their lives. Someone is suffering from mental illness. And just to have people like you out there who are willing to help and to step out, and to remove themselves and say, you know what, let me ask some deeper questions to figure out what's going on with you. Because again, we just have this person in front of us, but we don't know why they're suffering or what they've been through.
Right.
So, I definitely applaud you guys for that. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So we do appreciate you guys helping out with NAMI Lansing, of course, coming on the podcast this evening, of course, as well. Appreciate all that you have done for our events and for our group, and glad that you guys are taking things that you're learning here, applying it not only in your life, but to other med students, to your college, and then, of course, later on, once you actually get into your career, once you guys graduate, it sounds like you guys are going to apply it a lot as well there as well, and take the tools necessary, of course. So switching gears, Royce, though, on this, we got Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, and are you ready for it?
Happy turkey.
Happy turkey.
You
got all that figured out? You got Christmas figured out yet?
You guys fry your turkeys too?
Oh,
you fry turkey?
You fry turkey?
Oh, we fry turkey.
Who frying turkey? You
I'm from Florida. There's nothing that's not fried at Thanksgiving. The mashed potatoes are fried.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about, right?
All right.
Coming to your house.
Royce is now stressing out because he doesn't know what is and isn't fried anymore. But don't worry, we got our next episode, Royce, where we're going to talk about those stressful stressful situations, how we can handle stress, and ways that we can use different methods to cope with stress, whether to reduce it, eliminate it, or just even to manage where it's at currently. Because there are times when you're in a stressful situation where you can't eliminate, you can't reduce it, but it's there, but you need to know how to handle it at that point. So that's going to be our next episode. Royce, I'm going to let you take us out today.
Well, thank you for listening, and thank you to our guests that were here.
Thanks for having us.
Maryssa, Gabby, Vic, you guys have been awesome. So until next time, this is Royce Jones and Mike Lindauer, where we advocate, educate, support, and tell real-life stories about mental health and mental illness. Thank you until we meet again.